Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB video, but today we have College Football 26. Yes, we have the game early. We are in this game, ready to go to break everything down for you guys. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a full Dynasty breakdown ahead of all my other early videos, but I figured let's break down everything in Dynasty, show you guys my thoughts, analysis, and everything before we go into all of our tips and advice for all of you Day 1 CFB 26 players. This video is presented by the EA Creator Network. Shout out to EA for letting me get the game early so I can get all this footage to you guys. Reminder though, this is a work in progress game, and everything you're being shown in these videos is still subject to change come CFB 26 release day. Alright, so let's start creating our dynasty. Usually, I'd skip all this stuff for you guys, but I feel like you may enjoy all of this considering it's your first real look at everything. So I'm going to start with the cloud multi-user, going to go into default roster because we're not into the year yet. And let's go pick our team. So far, everything looks kind of the same, right? A little menu changes here, some color changes. You see all the basic stuff we have here. There are a lot of settings to go through. Now, I can show you guys over in the actual league, but a few things that stand out to me when creating your league is this is going to be very, very important setting, considering the new addition to manual progression. Now, to break it down for you guys pretty basically, there's auto progression like last year, which is basically your players upgrade randomly, and there's manual. Manual is super glitchy and way more advantageous than auto. However, there is a penalty setting, so when auto progression is turned off for a user control team, which means you manually upgrade, the penalty will be applied to all XP earned by players on that team. So let's just say for every 100 points of XP you gain with a player, if auto is off, you do get 25% less, so you'll get 75 only. So if this was all the way on 100, you'd essentially get 0, right? If this was on 50, you'd only get 50 points for every 100, so on and so forth. So this is gonna be important this is gonna be an important detail all year. Definitely keep that in the back of your mind when doing this. Pre-order bonuses. Remember, I'm gonna make a video going over the best settings and what I think you should be doing, but pre-order bonus is going to be that extra 100 points you get. Now, there are some caveats here. Remember, you do get an extra 100 coaching points, which means if this is turned on, anyone who pre-ordered the game gets an extra 100, which means essentially while the max level is 100, their max level is really 110. That is a huge advantage. So if you do want to kind of like make the league a little bit fair and not include stuff like that, you may want to turn this off. I do think it kind of sucks if you pre-order the game. I mean, that's kind of the intention. It's really up to your league, but there will be huge disadvantages for people who don't have this, especially with how important coach builds are and with how good CEO is now. Obviously, we have some of the other basic stuff here. Another important screen is going to be wear and tear. Now, I actually do want to tweak this a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but like normal tackle impact, I kind of want to bring this down. Basically, all of this can be impacts on wear and tear in the game. So basically last year you could get shoestring tackled, fall to the ground, very light tackle, and your guy would be done for game with a red chest, and was very, very annoying. This year you can actually impact that. So for me, I'm tired of seeing normal tackle impacts where like my player gets shoestring tackled to the ground and goes out for the game, but I do want to see more hit stick impact. Or catch tackle impact. If a guy goes for a deep post, mid-air, in the air, and I spear him, user hit stick him with my safety, I want to see that guy rattled, concussed, maybe his shoulder's red. I think that actually is very realistic, and I've always hated the fact that hit sticking has kind of taken a backseat in recent years when it used to be so important back in the injury days of Madden. Hit stick a running back on a blindside hit, and he might be done for game. So I'm not going to play around with them for this specific walkthrough, but I do think it's important that you guys take all that into account, everything you get back. Transfer portal settings, while I do think they're important, and I do actually appreciate them, you don't need to do that right away. You can focus that more once the season starts, but user player transfer chance, CPU player transfer chance, and max transfers. This is really cool. Again, guys, this might be a long video. I'm going to try to break down everything so that you know exactly my thoughts and how you should be approaching this when you load up that game and you're not confused. So max transfers per team, this is pretty cool. When do I see this being a worthwhile scenario? For instance, I went to Mexico on like a 5 to 7 day trip last year when I had LSU. My team was just loaded with 5 stars, like 50, 60, 75 stars on the roster. I came back to like 3 or 4 losses on forced losses because I was gone. And essentially 15 to 20 of my players were on the transfer portal and I couldn't get them. So I lost like an entire class and a half of players. That's very annoying. So you can always mitigate like vacations and stuff like by doing this, let's say 5, so you don't lose an entire team. That's pretty cool. But some people are also like, nope, we're going to make this on insane difficulty and then we're not doing that. So that's up to you. User player transfer chance is pretty cool because let's say again you don't want to decimate user teams for vacations, or maybe someone's trying to do like a rebuild, or they're not that good at the game, they have Alabama. Maybe you put this down a little bit so you don't have to deal with like players constantly losing people. Some people appreciate it. Maybe you put that up higher. Maybe you want to make it so yeah, you gotta really focus and take care of your players. Could be a lot of strategy here. And then CPU player chance, if you don't want CPU teams being decimated, or vice versa, you don't want user teams being decimated, but you're open to CPU teams being completely taken apart. That's cool too. That's how you end up with like a team like Texas being unrostered, let's say, or no user on there, and you get Arch Manning on the transfer portal, and so on and so forth. Honestly, if you're in a user league, a lot of good teams are taken. You probably want the user one pretty high, or at least that bare default. That way you can go ahead and properly utilize the transfer portal. Moving on down. Again, for me, I'm probably turning off auto progress players. Remember, you are now hit with the penalty. Is there some world where there's a workaround where you can turn that off and then turn it back on, or turn it off until the training period and then turn it back on? The only thing is they will probably auto progress. This probably only on and off probably only slightly helps you. For, let's say, a player is reaching 6 skill points, like a really good player is reaching 6 skill points, and you know that what you want to buy like speed is like 7, and you don't want him to use it on anything else. But there is also the problem where a lot of players are probably being auto upgraded at that point, so up to you. But if you turn this off, you are hit with the penalty. I recommend always reviewing what your league is doing with skill points. That way you don't, like, if your league has it on 80%, that's hindering you very badly. Maybe you keep it on auto recruiting, all that. I always recommend turning that off. And then that's basically it for the new stuff here. I'm happy with that. Let's go choose our team. That was a mouthful for just the settings, but I think it's important because there's a lot of differences here. So if you guys want to just take a look at this, these are the 5 stars for this year. Off the top of my head, something's missing here. I don't remember which team, but Clemson. Clemson was here last year. Clemson has been moved into the 4.5 star territory. I believe Florida's up now. I believe they're like a 3.5 maybe, and so is Miami. Miami, I both felt like we're 3.5s. Could be wrong, but they've been moved possibly up. And these are just the teams you're going to see in your 4-star category. LSU is the team I'm rocking with for the year, as you guys know. So mine's going to be a 4.5 star. The 3-star teams, if you want to just take a quick look, you feel free to pause the video. For all your season-long leagues, you can kind of get an idea of what your overall is. Maybe if you have a cap of like max 3-star or minimum 3-star, you can kind of get an idea here. So feel free to pause and just go through all that. 2-star teams, let's see what we got going on here. Quite a few here. Pretty decently sized list. We have the 1-stars. Scroll down here. Again, feel free to pause. And then we have the 0.5-star teams. That's awful. But that wraps up all of our teams. Let's go choose our team, which is going to be LSU. Let's get into this over here. Offensive coach, or head coach, offensive coordinator, and defense coordinator. I'm going to choose head coach. There is strategy to doing the other one, but that's where I'm going to sit. Brian Kelly, I believe last year started at a 42 overall. So now he's a 62 overall, which is a lot higher. That definitely looks a bit closer to Brian Kelly than it has in the past. So now remember, we do have real coaches, which is cool. I believe it was Terrence Hightop last year was the coach for this. I'm not going to be taking a current coach, just like I recommend if you're in any competitive league, or really any league ever, definitely go for create new always. Which one do we start with? Don't ever touch tactician. I hope you guys stay throughout this entire video and listen to me, because I'm going to be dropping a lot of gems on videos I'm going to be doing and giving you a lot of key details to stop you from making mistakes. Don't ever touch tactician as your first one. Remember, this year is a little bit different for a few reasons. First off, you have to build up your first archetype a little bit extra, I believe, to level 10 before you can go to the next one. So don't pick something you don't want to build up, tactician. Also, and most importantly, you have to spend more points in certain things to upgrade them. So like for architect, you got to spend 15 tactician. I don't want to go that route probably, so I'm probably not touching tactician, at least not yet. And then now it comes between recruiter and motivator. For me personally, I like to go recruiter. That's where I stand. Motivator is also good because you know you're going to need it. I like to start getting my roster set a little bit early on, even if you're not spending many points, but I'm going to start recruiter. That's usually a safe bet. I'm not going to hinder myself in that aspect of the game. A lot of new stuff here. For info, you can go all the way down. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but you can see everything. What's pretty cool is adaptive AI, no huddle style. I assume this is best for simming games, offensive aggressiveness, defensive aggressiveness. This is good for sim players. You want to just sim through games and just coach their team. Pretty cool because you can kind of set how your coach is going to coach, make it as fun as you want. You probably do some tests with that. Head, physique, all the new things you can go through here. Plenty of cool stuff. I usually don't spend too much time on the screen. I'm more of a let's get in the game and play kind of guy. But there are some things here that can be seen. And that basically breaks down what you're doing beforehand. Some of the cool new gear, torso, lower body. Really customize your coach to the best of your ability here. You can give him like a Bill Belichick hoodie type. You can make him super official. I actually think I like that. But there's plenty of cool stuff here. Lots of stuff to kind of replicate maybe your favorite in real life coach. Maybe you coach football yourself, and this is kind of how you would dress if you did it. I think there's a lot of cool customizable features here now. They've really made what I think CFP26 to me is they took the best of CFP26. They took the worst of CFP26. They put it like on a big board. They made the best stuff a little bit better without touching it much. They took the worst stuff, scrapped it, and improved all the issues we had on the worst stuff, and then added some just good quality of life changes. And I think everyone's going to enjoy But let's get into the league now and keep moving through. As per usual, you sign your contract. I always wish there was like some kind of negotiation phase here to like, maybe you want your job security to be higher, maybe you want this to be higher, maybe you make a promise and you get more coach points. I wish there was a little bit more here, but I'm not opposed. I just don't see the point of that screen as much as maybe someone else does. But we're moving into the Dynasty, simulating 2025 preseason. This is what week 1 looks like. Now, it does look, I can tell the colors are different. You can tell like the outlining, the edging of the page is different. Let's go through the menu, setup board, custom schedules, top stories and skills. Nothing different here. The member screen was changed. Now the member screen looks a little bit cooler. I do like this over what I used to see, which was going into like the Dynasty Central and the members. Now you can invite users from here. You can see what team they're on. I think this is a good quality of life change. You can go right from here and click on invite, add action, so on and so forth. CFB, this all looks the same. We have coach. This all, I believe, looks the same as well. Eventually, there will be formation subs here, but we'll go through on advance. Teams, oh, sorry, here we are. Formation subs is added, which is a huge new update to the game, and I'm going to be using this a lot. For all you guys who don't know why is formation subs cool, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of it. Last year, the only way to really do this was to do quick subs in between plays or do depth chart, pausing games in online leagues. Very annoying. Where is this cool? Very simple. You draft a power scrambling quarterback. You can't throw over it really well. Think Tim Tebow or Cam Newton. Let's say you're between the 20s and you're running the ball, passing the ball, all the stuff, you're doing fine. You get to the 1 yard line. You want to run QB power. Your quarterback has an 81 speed and might fumble. You can put in, let's say you like to run this quarterback power out of heavy tiger or wing tight Z. Let's say there's a formation you like that you only run quarterback power out of and no other plays. You can go in here and actually go to your quarterback. Let's get to number 13, Neusmeyer, and you can actually sub in so that that one guy comes in on this play. It could be any position you want. Usually there's some things you could do here, especially in other spots, more so like here, kicker, quarterback position, kicker, punter, quarterback. But most importantly, you can put anyone you want in a certain spot. Now, why is this cool? Because it gets rid of the guesswork. I hate when I get down to the goal line, I got to pause the game. Your opponent has an idea you're doing something there. Or let's say I want to call a quarterback power. They blow it up, I lose 2. Next, I want to come back out and actually pass the ball. Now I got to pause the game again, change my depth chart. Maybe I use my 1 pause. I love this. This allows you to actually recruit very strategically, like bringing in 2 blocking tight ends. That way, when you call wing, your tight end on the end can actually be just your blocking tight end always. That helps with the run game a lot, guys. If you just play the game and don't put too much thought into it, you're going to end up running a lot of run plays with receiving tight ends, when in this situation, you could put block tight ends in at like the 56 spot right there, in the 88 spot, I believe, right? So on and so forth. You can put your 2 tight ends in, or an extra, you can even put an extra lineman there, and they'll only come in on run plays. A really good opponent will notice that those are linemen or blocking tight ends, but for the most part, you're going to block a lot better, and it's going to make the game a lot easier. So remember, you can really take advantage of that screen, so definitely play around with it. Basically, to start every season, you should really be doing it. Then we have stats and records. Only thing that I see changed here is going to be the trophy room and CFB history. This is super cool. You can go through each and every season, see who won the national championship, who did what in the ACC, the American, who won the Big 12, so on and so forth. You can check out conference championships. You can check out Heisman Trophy and every single award you can think of. I think this is so cool. I kind of hated the fact that there was no record keeping. For all you guys who play Madden or anything, you know that there were some times when there was a down week, right? You were on a bye week. It was the off season. You didn't have a game this week. Your user couldn't show up, and you were just bored. So you would just sit there and go through all the history. That's what I did on Madden, and go through, track stats, track records, bring it into the group chat. Now you can do that here, which I think is super cool. And then of course you could check your trophy room, and you could check your Dynasty trophy room, and that's super, super cool in my opinion. I think there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff to actually do here and compare and have some bragging rights over your opponents. So for me, I think it's cool. And then here, nothing too different here than out of the normal, at least of what we've had. So let's go to set up our recruiting board and show you guys what this looks like. One of the biggest improvements for me is going to be right above here. See at the top of the screen below prospect list over there, you can see your team needs now from this screen. I can't tell you how annoying it was to do this every time. Back, forth, back, forth. My attention span could be a tad short with minuscule details like this. So for me, I'd be like, I could look at this for 5 minutes and go, okay, I need a quarterback here because he's a senior. My freshmen aren't great. Okay, I'm short in halfbacks. That's fine. Then I go back and I'd be like, what do I need again? I keep going back and forth. Now you can see the whole screen in its entirety. So overall, a huge quality of life change for me. Offensive targets, you can see your targets, you can see your team needs. I think this is super big. I love this, especially like right here, I see QB. Now I have 2. Now I have 3. Now I have 4. What I like about this is sometimes when I'm going through my list, I'll start like this. I'll start with this. I'll sort by interest, let's say. Maybe by 5-star, 4-star, sort by interest, and I'll do this. Let me get all these first guys on my board. who are the easy targets for me, especially in season 1 or 2. You guys know season 1 or 2 for me, I'm focused on getting elite recruiter. I'm focusing on getting all the gimme players. I can focus on what I actually want later. So let's say I do this and I'm like, okay, my board's basically filled out. Now, what do I need to specifically target? I'll look now and say, ooh, I didn't bring in any tight ends. I'm short on outside linebackers, short on cornerbacks. And that's where I put myself in a situation last year where I was actually short positions because I was trying to take the efficient route. So now I might say, okay, I have my efficient targets. Let me go in and try to target a specific cornerback here as well. And seeing it on the big screen here is so much better. Next, we go over to transfer portal. Obviously, that's not open yet, but you can still see this. We go over to my school. Everything here is basically the same. Now, they did make a singular change, I believe, to one of these, which is going to be first, conference prestige. They changed some wording. The quickest way to increase this grade is to change conferences. That's pretty cool. Just to let you know for anyone who was confused about that. Then, the one I do like the most is going to be, which one did they just change? I think it was Pro Potential. Now it's based on your last 4 years. So Pro Potential tracks the last 4 years of draft picks. So basically before, once you got that up to like A+, and you were a good program, it just stayed that way. Now, if you have a really good 3 to 4 years of draft picks and a good recruiting classes and so on and so forth, you'll be in that A+ territory. But if you have a bad 2 or 3 years, you go on vacation, or you have some bad recruiting, or you miss target players, you could actually fall out of that with being in like 4th, 7th round picks, or being in 3rd round picks, not having a lot of first, and now you can fall to like a C or B. This greatly changes a lot of things and keeps the pressure on with recruiting every single year, not messing up, and most importantly, being efficient and following my ideal coach build, because you don't want to be in a position where you over-target players you can't grab without having the right coach packages, and you screw yourself there. That's going to be a big deal, because Pro Potential was a pretty big deal breaker last year, and you could lose players that way as well. So if you bring in a lot of guys, if you bring a lot of 5 stars at A, Pro Potential, deal breaker, and then you fall to like B, you could lose an entire roster. So be very careful. Be very careful messing with that Pro Potential one. Let's go to upgrade coaching skills. Let's go through some of the changes here. Let's start with my favorite package, which is going to be recruiter. What changed here? Tier 1 takes less time to scout. That's huge. That's why I don't mind starting with recruiter, even though I got to put some points into this one. I don't mind it because I definitely want the takes less time to scout ability here. That's going to be super important to me. Now, I don't exactly like tier 2, increased starting interest. Not necessarily something I'm huge on, only because last year it seemed to not work that well. But that's going to be tier 2. Tier 3 quarterback transfers are added to this. I do like that. Tier 4 is increased chance to sway. First initial thoughts, I don't care for tier 4. Tier 1 through 3 I seem to care for. Elite quarterback. Elite recruiter for quarterback, or any of them in general. Tier 1, boost ideal pitch grades. I like that. Upsell, school grades have a larger impact. I like that. Most influential, recruiting actions have bigger impacts on quarterbacks. I like that. Tier 4, increased weekly hours. So last year, tier 4 was actually going to be in the first set of recruiter. Now it's an elite. So for elite recruiter, I actually kind of want to go to tier 4 on this one. That's going to be a big deal. That changes a lot of things. So keep that in mind. Strategist, what changed here? Boost to complimentary visits for quarterbacks. That one's good. Visits have a bigger impact. That one's good. Quarterbacks have a lower deal breaker. And mind reader, the last one on my head, increased chance to learn a dev trait while scouting. Tier 4 is actually really good. It's going to take me I'm going to have to do a lot of thinking about whether or not I want to go into strategist at all for dev traits, because dev trait's going to matter this year. The only thing that's different though is now they let you see the dev trait, but on the flip side, you can also increase the dev trait. So I do think mind reader got better, but that aspect or variable decreased again. Why? Last year, it was like an elite quarterback versus an impact quarterback. Huge difference. That's the difference between like a generational type QB or just a quarterback that's not going to progress well. Now, so last year was like, if you were scouting 2 guys, one was elite, one was impact. You wanted the elite guy. So you were always like, you would have right then and there, if you had this ability, been like, yep, taking the elite guy. Now, okay, fine. You get a star versus impact guy, but that star can go up to elite with a good season if you play well. So I think it lost some value, but it also went up because it's much easier to use and makes more sense now versus last year. Last year, you could only see it after a visit, which at that point, you probably locked them up. Let's go to tactician. The only thing I seem to really like here, I mean, it's all kind of the same in the first set here, but there is some more. It seems to be like the last one, tier 4, chance to your defender's coverage shell in hurry up. Kind of cool. I'm personally not touching anything tactician. The only way at all I touch tactician, literally the only way, is to get the 50-point requirement for architect, which is on my head, and that's only if I do go the architect route. What changed here? Tier 1, you get the 3-game bonus. That's normal. Quarterbacks earn additional XP. That's normal. Random skill cap increase. Normal. Put a ring on it. Normal. Basically exactly like last year. Nothing changed here. If you liked architect last year, you're going to like it this year. My only problem is the threshold to get into architect has went up a little bit. First, the rivalry game thing sucks. If a commissioner is not giving you the right games, it'll take you forever to get it. And then if you do get one finally and you lose it, also problematic. Motivator. These 4 here. Interest boost for quarterbacks when a QB hits a current skill cap. That was not here last year. That's going to be tier 1 for you, which I actually like, because tier 1 and 2 for motivator Well, tier 1 was actually better last year, but I do like that this goes added to motivator. I don't like what it replaced. Hot hand, not great. Not a fan of it. I do love tier 3. That's going to be the off-season boost. That's one of the best abilities in the game. You definitely want to get to tier 3 on all positions. In our coach build, that will definitely be a part of it. Now for elite motivator, I don't like tier 1. I don't care too much for tier 2. I love tier 3. Don't care for tier 4. Same concept as last year. It's going to be tough for me to break into this one because I don't like upgrading all that stuff if I'm just getting to tier 3. Let's go to talent developer. This one's kind of sneaky. This one's sneaky. I do like this one. Pay it forward. Bonus XP for quarterbacks when quarterbacks are drafted. Huge. One of the best abilities in the game, in my opinion, that used to be tier 1 for motivator. It's now over here. So now I'm considering talent developer in my head as something I might go down the road on. Quarterback whisperer. Freshman and sophomore quarterbacks progress faster. I like that. Some people were like, oh, you know, it's an organic thing. I like that. My freshman, if I get a freshman or sophomore elite dev quarterback, I love the fact that they're going to grow early. While that may lead to them getting drafted earlier, that does mean that I can grow them earlier and start them. So if you're planning to start younger players and build them, it's a great ability. Starting quarterback, starting player in general will earn XP faster. That's a great one. Home sweet home quarterback, boost the pipeline bonus. All 4 of these, honestly, in my opinion, are really good. This is one of the few that I actually want to go 4 deep on, besides the elite recruiter. Talent developer is a dark horse to be in my final coach build this year, and when I didn't even consider it last year. Program builder, what do I like here? This didn't seem to change. I also don't care about this one except for cream of the crop. Increase the caliber of coordinators. I like that, but it does require you to spend 16, 32, 48 points on it. Don't love that. This one, don't care for the first 2 here. Portal preview, I don't care for because I can kind of see that myself anyways. I have an idea. Earn 25% more XP, don't care. I'm not going to waste points to get to coach level 100 quicker because I need every point I can get for the ideal coach build. The final one, friends and family discount, is cool. Archetypes are 20 coach points cheaper for each coach that owns the archetype. I do think that's cool, but again, costs so much to get there. Don't know if it's worth it by the time you're there. Relationship builder was great last year. Very high chance to be in the final coach build. Set the tone. Not touching this one. Same as last year. This one right here, the only thing I see that I think came from the CEO package is Delay Sunday. While I do like these, I wouldn't spend points on them because they're super expensive. Then we have Strong Roots. Again, another really good pipeline one from last year. Decent chance to be in the final coach build. Gift of Gab. While this is okay, I won't be spending points in this. Let's get to the greatest package in the game that they made a lot of changes to. CEO is glitchy now. Gains Getter. Increase the chance that a player upgrades their dev trait. Huge. Huge. We got to see if it works, of course, and game test this a little bit, but huge. With dev traits going up, being able to have a player that goes from impact to star or star to elite or normal to impact, gonna be huge. Gonna be huge for everything, and it only costs 16 points once you're in here. There's no nonsense you got to go through to get to it once you're in CEO. The CEO package itself is, a little expensive. It's 35 points, and there are some pretty obnoxious things like win 2 natties, which some players may never win ever in an online league, but great one. Let's go to more the merrier. Increase the number of players you can visit in a single week to 8. It was 4 last year, and you know how many times you want to do that 5th one for week 3 and you couldn't? It's 8 now. Now you may say, well, how am I going to do 8? 8 times 40 is whatever that is, right? 32? Is it 30? I think it's 320 total. 320 points. How are you ever going to get that in 1 week? You likely won't, but this year they did proximity visits, which means for the closer they are to your school based on like your pipelines, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it goes like 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. You can get down to a 10-point visit. So essentially, 8 players, only 80 points. All you got to do is take 2 players off your board with a set in the house, and you have 100 points with net 20 positive after the 80. This is a great ability. It depends on how many you have extra. That's where I alluded to earlier that the extra 100 coach points can get you all these packages. So keep that in mind. Dream School, great ability. So right here, we're starting off 3. That's 3 in a row. That's a splash. That's 3 amazing abilities off rip. Bundle discount, of course, very good. My only problem with these in CEO is that by the time you get here, it may not be valuable. There will be some value to this ability in terms of doing the coordinator cheese, like going to Georgia. But as a regular head coach, I don't see the value there as much. This one is cool, but I would never really spend that unless I had extra points. Second Chance Keeper, cool. Probably wouldn't spend the points there. Lasting Impression. Guys, this was the greatest ability in CFP 25 in Recruiter for me. This was the glitchy one that if you had 80 hours, and then you put this on, you had 8 times bonus basically on the little bonus you got, because every 10 hours, 10 times 8 is 80. You had it 8 times. No wonder they moved it out of Recruiter. I'm pretty sure EA may have at some point watched our conversations, maybe some of our videos. We love this one, and it's gone. This is going to be an elite one. If I can get to CEO and save some points, I'm getting this one. Last Dance, bonus interest for every player who took a visit for you. Never liked this one, because for any of you who played CFP 25, by the time they did that visit, a lot of times they recruited after or shortly after. So my visit next week may not even matter, or they were ready. It might have been risky, or if they did if they're closing by week 3 or 4, there's only really an opportunity to get 1 or 2 visits max in for 2 teams. It's really not a great ability in my opinion. Senior superlatives, this one's cool. If I had the extra points, I may do it, but not something I'm overly like looking into. That gets us through coaches. Obviously, we have our coordinators. Another big thing is the active perks. Active perks were changed a little bit. 100 bonus XP for signing a recruit. We do have our active perk cheese we do, where we try to like get recruiter on for National Signing Day, then switch over to motivator. There's a world where we can still do that. Obviously, you have to get to level 10 first and get through to unlock something else, so that's going to play a role. So if you can get to level 10 early enough, you can maybe switch from recruiter over to motivator. The only problem is like how many points do you have? Can you make your active perk? I'll make videos on all this. I'll test all this out, but definitely going to be a change on how we handle this. So we threw a few players on the board. Let's start scouting a little bit so you guys can get an idea of what this looks like. Offering scholarships, you click on it, you see the interest boost. You see the way the screen looks a little bit different colors. They did move around the attributes and the abilities. One key change this year is going to be that actually there are less abilities, less common abilities. In the top right, you see roller coaster. That's one of the new abilities. Feel free to pause at any moment and just kind of see what's going on here. So I did notice one thing though while doing this. Just watch as I scout. There are some players that aren't going to be, maybe I misread this in the deep dive. There are some players that aren't actually 3 clicks. They're going to be 5 clicks, and this costs a lot more points. Eventually you'll see one, but just keep looking through. I'm going to keep offering some scholarships and just kind of get an idea for this process. Again, feel free to pause, see anything you want to see here. So far so good. Things kind of look the same from this perspective, but they did change the scouting a little bit. So I'm going to keep going through this. Take a look at the abilities, the press, kind of the overall sense of what you're seeing. Maybe less green gems. I feel like I have seen less green gems as a whole. Right here, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So I don't know if those are the gems maybe, right? I'm not sure, but I do know that from my testing I've done a little bit these last few days, I did notice that linemen and athletes seem to have had a higher threshold for me to get to this point. I'm not sure why. But keep that in mind that some of them are 5. So you got to be very, very cautious when scouting, because you may just, when you guys like mindlessly just like click A and go through it on the scouting screen, you may end up in a situation with 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. That is 50 points to scout them for a 4-star DT and a 3-star right guard. Don't mindlessly scout this year, guys. You're going to get screwed. Once you have the package to get it down a little bit, maybe, but be very careful. You're going to have no packages early on to get your scouting points down, at least not many. You're going to be in a situation where you get hit with something like that. So just keep that in mind. Now, I didn't see them be a gem that time, so I guess that kind of dissuades that theory, but I'm not sure yet. I got to test it some more. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Again, same concept. It's interesting. Be very careful, but that's basically it for that. I'm going to go through, offer some scholarships, keep advancing through the weeks and kind of show you guys what things look like, go through some of the changes, and so on and so forth. That guy insta-committed. That was pretty cool. That still happens, of course, even without the package, which is good to see as well. Some of these mechanics haven't changed entirely. Level screen still looks the same. Playing style, all that. Recruit screen, reach level 8, reach top 8, whatever it is. All looks kind of the same. Not much change there. Let's go into actually recruit some players and kind of see what changed. So, first thing. I love that. The visual cue of the red and the green on there. That's going to be really huge. And remember, they did add red dots, which you don't see yet, which means there's nothing left for me to do outside of add actions. But this guy's going down. I'm coming up on this guy. Very good visual cues for you to kind of go through. Let's go recruit. Let's add some actions on these guys. Send the house. Very similar to last year. The big difference this year is that you're starting with 50 points. Now, I know you started with 50 points last year. It is much harder to get increased hours now. It is an elite recruiter, so you won't be getting that for quite a while, not at least for 2 seasons, unless you pick a coach that starts with it. So again, big advantage to coaches that start with it. But on the flip side, not great advantage if the coach isn't built that well. Keep that in mind. I'll make more videos on that at a later date as I do go into it, but you're gonna be stuck with 50, which means you're not gonna be getting very crazy with how you recruit players, at least very early on. So you can go through, add your hours on, so on and so forth. Not much change there. I do like the general appearance, some of the other quality of life changes on the other page, but as a whole, this still seems to be kind of similar in terms of how you recruit. There was a little change to sway here as you guys go on in, but we're not there to the top 5, so let's keep advancing. And I'll actually show you guys an advanced screen here in case you're curious. Everything seems to look the same. You get the confirmation like we always did. Sim ahead. You see this screen, not much different there. You see this screen here, again, very similar. Very, very similar to this. A lot of the changes they did for me were more quality of life changes, less appearance changes. Let's go back into recruiting. Let's see what we got. Do we have anyone with a red dot? Not yet, so nothing crazy. No red dot means that no one entered the top 5 yet. The top 5 is when you start to see like the red dots on players that things have changed. No one on our board at least has changed with it yet. We have some greens going up. We got our points. You see the summary on the right-hand side, so on and so forth. And let's keep advancing. So we've advanced to hopefully the first top 5 week. And as you guys see, these red dots to me are going to be huge. Huge. That is a huge quality of life change. So when there's a red dot, that means that they've done something. There's a new action to be done. On the left, you can see they're in their top 5 now. Before, you had to go like this and sort my top 5 and do all that. Now, you can do this. What do I love about this? What do I love about this is very simple. There were some times where I did this a lot. I go to the gym in the morning before I record. And a lot of times when I'm at the gym, I'd be on the treadmill and I'd actually sit on remote play and do my board for the week in our advanced league. I'd put on my new actions. I check if I need visits. I do the hard sells, but I'm on my phone. Sometimes it would glitch a little bit and I'd actually skip a player. Like I'd be like hard sell. I do a double click, hard sell. Think I'm good. Week advances. Oh man, how'd I fall out of this guy's top 5? What happened? I was ahead on him. I look, I never applied a hard sell. And I'd have to like go one by one. Check. Nope, don't need anything. Check. No, don't need anything. Check. Don't need anything. Now it's easy to see, like, these are the 4 guys that I have to worry about. Everyone else doesn't matter because there's something else to do. I have my 50 on them. They're locked in. Good to go. I only got to look at these 4 players. And that means I can also then, when I'm done, go back and just check these 4 players. Versus before, I'd go through it all. Very simple. It says top 5 in green. A huge quality of life change. But let's go into it. Let's go to visits. Schedule visits. It's a 10. Why? Why is that? Because he's from Louisiana. I'm LSU. He's going to get the proximity visit, which means, look at that. 10-point visit, 10-point visit, 20-point visit, 10-point visit. That's 10, 30, 40, 50. 50 points for 5 visits. We have 4 visits for the week. That's 50 points. That means all I have to do is basically hold Y on this player. If I needed the hours, right? If I was maxed out, take off this player, put it on. That is a huge change, guys. Again, I know I'm going really deep on all this, but I feel like it's great for you guys to get a great foundation for when you get the game, and then all my videos can just kind of stack on that. This is like my foundational video. But that's super cool. We can go in. Hard sells are very similar to how they used to be. You go in, you play the guessing game, usual. Sway now adds a percentage. If you see above my head right there, it says high. The next one says medium, then low. Sorry, it's by my head. But it'll show you the success rate. If you do 2 greens and 1 red, it's a high chance of getting it. If you do 1 green and 2 reds, medium. If you do 3 reds, it's a low chance of swaying. Then you have the hard sell and soft sell. Same situation as last year. And we'll go through all of these: Star Search, Coach Connection, Student of the Game, so on and so forth. All this stuff. Nothing too crazy, although I'm pretty sure I see some new ones here. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like there's some new ones, or at least they changed some names. Could be wrong, could be blanking. I kind of mindlessly did this the second half of the year. I knew all of them already. I was just flying through them. So that's really cool. Hard sells are still the same. I'm very happy with the way this looks so far, but that red dot right there is huge for me. The visits are huge, and I did mention this before. A big part of my strategy this year, at least for the first 2 seasons, to get an elite recruiter, which is being a top 5 recruiter, is going to be focusing heavily when recruiting on this board right here. I'm going to be sitting here with this and getting a lot of these 5-star guys, these local Louisiana guys. For me, whatever school you are, attribute that to your school, what's your local area, so that I can get a lot of cheap visits. That way I can dominate a lot of the top 5 recruiting early on. That's going to be my game I play early, especially if you're not like Alabama or Georgia or like a 5-star team. That's going to be my strategy. But guys, that's basically it for the recruiting aspect of quality changes. Obviously, we get to the visits, there's recruiting battles and so on and so forth. We can see maybe if we can get one of those going. But recruiting battles are going to be a lot easier to get in online leagues, which isn't like a great thing. So they did add recruiting battles, which means, you know, last year when you were at the end about to finish a recruit and the guy was like a little behind you, but he had a visit, and then we'd advance and the visit guy would flip you and win because the visit last week was basically like the glitch to beat someone. Now, if you're really close to another guy at the finish line, it'll trigger a recruiting battle where you 2 guys basically call it, let's say OT. Think of it as some guy in basketball hit a buzzer beater in the 4th quarter to go to OT. Now you're playing overtime. What do I like and what do I hate about it? I hate the fact that if I cheesed behind the guy and got a visit to come in, I may have to play in overtime now. What I do like about it is if I have the ideal coach build and I was outgaining him the whole way in interest, like right here, I'm outgaining Florida clearly by a larger margin. What I do hate is this. If Florida has a cheesy last second visit, we go into overtime. What I love though is that as LSU, I was outgaining him. So in OT, I'll probably beat him because I assume he can't do more visits. I'll probably beat him. And then from that point, I'm pretty solid. But as Florida, that kind of sucks. As an OT, I likely beat him. So again, coming from behind could be a little tough depending on how good your visit was. Maybe you get a big lead. It's definitely interesting. That's going to be down in like the final teams. And you'll probably see it more in online leagues and offline leagues with a good school. I'm probably just going to dominate all these guys. Offline recruiting is just so much easier. But that's basically it for the big changes here and the quality of life changes here. I'm going to start taking you guys through some weeks. One thing I do want to show you though, which you may appreciate, is this. When you go to advance, it used to be like next week, week 8, bowl games. Now you can go week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. You can go to each and every individual thing, which I think is super cool. So that's pretty awesome. I do appreciate that. I'm not going to show you much more recruiting because you guys know all of it from last year. Let's sim over to the first big week, which is going to be the week for the regular season, and start going through some of those stages. So let's start seeing how these advances look. As you see, nothing to do here. We'll keep it moving. Just want to show you guys kind of these last few weeks as things and prompts do pop up. Something they did change was going to be the coaching carousel and kind of the coach offers you get, which I think is huge. I know how much it sucks for a lot of people where you would be like the coach of Georgia and you're like, I'm bored of this. I want to go to like a somewhat local school. By the way, behind my head right here, you guys didn't just see it. It said staff leaving, and then my offensive coordinator was leaving. That's really cool. Another thing you never saw was kind of like, are they leaving? Are they not leaving? Are they planning to leave? Did they leave yet? That is cool. Definitely like that feature. And now you see it's gone. Hire coach available next week. Fire coach right here. Definitely cool. By the way, remember last year that glitch where like you could extend coach on the bottom here and you couldn't see the button? They look like they're raised now. Maybe you can see them. I'm interested to see what happens with that. But definitely cool that there was a pop-up there. I do appreciate that. I love the transparency and kind of the alerts that you would not realize and forget to hire someone, because that could happen. You could be advancing and be like, oh, I'm good, and then forget to go hire someone. Now I got the visual cue. Definitely exciting that works. A little bit of an update to how the screen looks when you win some stuff. Some nice, cool, nice patches for the helmet on there. The bowl pop-up, nothing crazy there. Let's see what else we got. So we have view job offers. This is going to be something that people do appreciate. Nothing was worse than being like, see, I'm LSU, but at least I'm getting offers from Michigan State, Washington, Troy, and Kentucky. Last year, I'd open this and it'd be like the FSC Pandas, and that was the only team that wanted me. It was like, not obviously, but like it was that stupid that you would just get a random no-name school, and I'm the coach of LSU or Georgia, and I had like 5 winning seasons. I had one like weird year, and I get like the worst offers. I think that's cool. I appreciate this. I appreciate this as a package for better offers. Early National Signing Day, for the most part, looks exactly the same. You could still see dev traits, so on and so forth when you go over to the scouting screen on the right. This guy's impact dev, not great. Some of our other guys. Let's see, is there something here like, is there not a lot of elites? There's an elite right there. Okay, looks like a similar frequency to last year of how these dev traits would turn out, so that's good to see. Maybe didn't nerf anything there, so that's good. We can head on out of there. You guys saw the coaching carousel a little bit and how the offers have changed. Hire staff, let's see what they got, and then go on here to hire coach and see how do these look. You see the interested schools again. You see hire coach, offer coach. So this one says hire coach. Does that mean I can just hire him right off rip without offering him? That's interesting. Not sure why that is, but a lot of good coaches here. Let's go to view trees and see what we're looking at. Did they give me anything on the front? Just levels. So let's view talent tree for PJ Fleck. You can't see what they have, but you can see that he has master motivator. You can see that he's a recruiter. You can only see what he's a master at or whatnot. You can't see what he exactly has. I kind of wish they would show you just a little bit. I used to hate the guessing game because then you're stuck with them for a little bit. Master motivator again. The talent pool looks decent here. Nothing abnormal. Elite recruiter, definitely cool. Elite recruiter, that kind of goes into a little bit of strategist, tactician, motivator. Looks good. I think this overall looks better. I think it looks better. I also like to see what schools you're competing with, because I do think there's a world where if you see a lot of good schools like Alabama, Georgia, LSU, you're like, all right, I might lose that one. But if you see a guy like this, you're kind of like, oh, I have a decent chance of getting this guy with the school size I am. I think that definitely helps, so you're not left in the dust without having a coach that you want. So that's pretty cool. Staff move screen, we'll go into there. I know this video is getting kind of long, guys, but it's going to be worth it for you to understand everything day one. Advanced week. We'll keep moving this on to the next big screens. Now let's look at the job offers. I know a lot of you guys care about this. Coaching carousel. Arkansas State, Memphis, and Toledo. As we go through, some of the bigger schools that we had a chance at are gone now, so that definitely makes sense there. We have our bowl game. We'll keep moving ahead, and we'll get to some of these final weeks. Some of the coolest stuff was done in the offseason. They made a lot of changes there, so I'm definitely excited to see how the offseason looks. Coach carousel, you can go through and review everything that happened. Pretty cool. No offers, no results. Not the week for that yet, but we'll keep moving it. There's the 2025 CFP history update. That is a new screen. You can go through and kind of see what's been added. So you see the national championship was Oklahoma versus Clemson. You see their record. You see the result. Pretty cool, because you see the winning coach who won. You see what their record was. Like, was there an underdog that swept in? Was there an undefeated season? Definitely really cool. You can go through and kind of check everything out, which I appreciate. I think overall, great quality of life type update for this game. Better record keeping. Definitely appreciate that. We keep moving it through, but that's something new. That's cool. I appreciate that. I think that was a big change and something that a lot of people are going to appreciate, especially like offline historians who are just simming through. Players leaving screen, very similar, except I'm going to turn my webcam off for this one. Look at the top, look at the right, look what changed. You see here where it says dev trait in the bottom right corner, you can now see their dev trait. This makes it so much easier to see, like, okay, do I want to keep this guy? Oh, he's impact dev, don't care. He's a junior, 79 impact dev, he can go. But look at this top here. He's a star dev. He's 88. He's a speedster. I kind of want him. Like, do I want to take a chance? Do I want to waste my persuades? Nope, that's 3 or 4 right there. Star Dev, Ashton Stamps, really good player. Take a chance. Nope. So on and so forth. Again, I don't have great chances here. I kind of simmed through this whole season, so nothing. Yeah, the odds of me having any good rates on any of these guys are low. But as a whole, I do appreciate that there's dev traits there now. As I mentioned, way more in general things, like right there, attributes. You can see their key attributes. You can see everything very quickly, their deal breaker and their wear and tear for their career and season health right below my webcam. Again, that is a huge quality of life change right here. This is going to make it so much easier. I used to hate going players leaving, back to roster, players leaving, back to roster, players leaving, back to roster. It was constantly a problem, and it was very annoying. Did not appreciate doing that. Let's keep moving along as we keep seeing what else has been done in Dynasty mode here. There's a few more things I do want to go through. We have the transfer portal, of course, which is slowly about to start. We have the training results period, transfer portal, and off-season recruiting. Guys, the transfer portal is a lot better. Way more players. Let's see what we have. Every time I've simmed through these, they seem to be really good options. Let's sort by rank. And look at that. Arch Manning, Colin Simmons, Caleb Lomu, Trey White. But right here, we have 2 5-stars. Just telling you guys, like, for anyone who played this game last year, you were not seeing transfer portals like this. Way more transparency. On the right, you see that. You see the deal breaker. You see their stats for last year, which is important. I think that's a super cool feature to have. How many pancakes, how many downs played, game start. You can see if they were a starter, get an idea. Definitely super cool. You could also probably see their overall a little bit by that too. If the player had like no game started, it's likely they were a lower overall. But I think that's really cool. I definitely appreciate the new transfer portal. Tons of players. Tons of players. I mean, you guys can just see right here. 2,385 players. Enough for everyone to go around. Definitely love that. And let's wind it down here into the next week. Draft results. Green looks a little bit smoother, but nothing else really there. Kind of more of an aesthetic feel than it is actually any kind of feature there. We have 140 coaching points for one straight sim. Had a really bad season. So there's kind of like your general baseline for how much you can go up. About 140 points at least for that. Considering the fact that we haven't really done much outside of just sim through games. Have a pretty bad losing season. Your typical coach package unlock. Another cool feature I almost forgot about. You can click Y in favorite recruits. See that favorite recruit thing in the bottom? You can favorite them when you're actually recruiting players. Super cool for obvious reasons, because let's say, this used to happen all the time. Let's say I was recruiting 5 quarterbacks. I'd usually do like a little bit of analysis, looking at all of them, like who do I like the best of the grouping? And I'd be like, okay, so Harvin and Brock, let's say, those are my 2 guys in the position group that I want to recruit. The other 3 guys are backups. Then I'd go through every time and be like, wait a minute, which one was the best one? I have to keep checking. Now you click Y on them, it'll throw like a little star next to them. So now I know, like, of my 5 quarterbacks, those are my 2. And then I could also delete players that way. What I could do is you can go through your whole roster of your recruiting, be like, I want these 2 quarterbacks, these 2 wide receivers. These are my best 2 chances at an offensive lineman. I have no chance of winning this guy, but I could get that safety. Star, star, star. You start up, you reassess your points. What's left, cut the rest of the guys and or hold on to them in case they stay on your radar. But a lot of cool updates with stuff like that. It makes it really cuts down so many hours for you guys. Position changes, one of the biggest updates was this. Now when position changing, let me take off my webcam again for you guys on the right hand side. You see everything, right? But let's say I want to change Harold Perkins to a new position. Look at the bottom right. When I change him to a left edge, no abilities. Free safety, he gets wrap up. It shows you the abilities. If he was to go into Will, he'd get all these abilities at linebacker, knockout, robber, wrap up, so on and so forth. You can see exactly what they would get and their overall. I think they kind of killed the reroll with this. You don't just automatically upgrade your abilities anymore, so that does kind of stink, but I guess it's better for no cheese. But Harold Perkins currently had the robber, wrap-up, knockout as Will, so if you move him around, that's what you end up getting. It's a pretty cool upgrade to see like what they would do, but you obviously can't reroll. Durham, if you move him to halfback, oh, he's not halfback, sorry. Move him anywhere else, he loses basically everything. Quarterback, he would have Shifty at, which is interesting. Let's see what else he'd get. Shifty, or sidestep here at wide receiver. But yeah, he'd be pretty bad everywhere else. This definitely changes the game. Kind of gets rid of a lot of those, like, I'm going to bring a halfback over to edge rusher and make him good. They're going to be trash. There's going to be a lot of more strategy here than it used to just be mindlessly doing it. Definitely a cool quality of life upgrade as well, so you could see it. That also stops people from changing a position and being like, wait, I bricked my player, how do I fix it? And you can't. Now you can see everything ahead of time. There's no excuse for any of that anymore. Make sure you do a double check before you click A on anything to confirm any position changes. And guys, again, I know this is getting long, but we're just about there. Training results, my favorite thing here is going to be being able to see these upgrades. Now, there's 2 things here. Remember, you can manually upgrade players. So, had I had auto upgrade on, you would see Harold Perkins from 93 to 95. You'd see all the green arrows, see his speed went up. But, alternatively, you can hold Y, right? Look at the bottom of the screen. If you hold Y, went into it. On the bottom, see auto progress. If you don't want to do it, you can hold Y. Auto progress your team, see it. But let's say I want to manually upgrade a player. Let's look at Durham. Durham's a great example of why it's so cool now to have manual progression. So Durham right now is short of Shifty. He needs like 1 or 2 upgrades here. and his abilities can also be upgraded. So I think Shifty's the best ability in the game, or at least one of the best abilities. I want to get it. So instead of having the game randomly, which is what it would have done, give me, let's see, what was the cheapest grouping here? It would have upgraded route running for me a bunch. Then it would have upgraded IQ. Then it would have upgraded probably hands. It wouldn't have touched speed, elusiveness, or power, any of the stuff I want. By the way, Architect can increase a player's rating. CEO can increase all skill caps. Tells you on the bottom of the screen as well. Pretty cool. So current, max, blocked. I love the key on the bottom left too. What's cool here is this. Instead of it upgrading nonsense, so basically going into his sophomore year, I would have gotten all nonsense. Instead, I could do this. Do I want 99 speed or do I want Shifty? I think I want Shifty. So let's see what he can get so far. Can I upgrade Shifty as it stands? Yes, I can. Let's get him to silver. Let's get him to gold. Let's get him to gold, sorry. Now we're at 18 points. Sorry, platinum. We got him all the way up to platinum right then and there. Cool. That's great. He's at platinum. Now let's go back. His elusiveness can be upgraded, or maybe I want to upgrade his speed. Let's try speed here. Now we got 96 speed, 96 excel, and we got platinum Shifty, my favorite ability in the game, with a 96 plus speed and the crazy acceleration. He's an absolute GOAT beast running back in this game. I cannot tell you how big of a change this was. So for reference, again, he is a junior player. I forget we simmed a season and we're 1 year in advance, right? Sorry, I'm used to last year when he was a freshman before the advance. So if this was the regular game, he would have used all 30 points of that to upgrade nonsense. Hands, route running, IQ. Basically, heading into his senior year would be the year I'd have to hope and cross my fingers and pray that he actually upgrades his elusiveness, that he actually upgrades change of direction, he upgrades the and even if he buys the ability, that was the other problem. Fine, he upgrades it, he doesn't buy the ability. You ended up with a lot of careers in CFP 25 with players who were so elite with dev and skill caps and they never hit their ceiling because they upgraded the wrong stuff. There's a huge quality of life change. Again, keep in mind the manual progression cut on these players, but I love this. I love every bit of this. Be very careful. You're going to have some cheese heads in your league that absolutely do the most to build like God Squad players, and you're going to be getting killed by them. So just keep that in mind. One thing you want to keep note here is that you see the +1, the +1s across the board as you go and see everything that they upgraded. It's pretty cool. You can just go through and see. So stamina went up, speed went up. That's what I chose to upgrade, and I did a lot of ability changes. So that's really where you're going to notice the big change on things. I'm trying to see if his ability showed anything, but it doesn't. But as you go through, you can do this with everyone. Very, very cool. I can go into Perkins. I can click in, upgrade some of the cheapest stuff, and you can kind of see the ratings go up. Let's see what his cheapest stuff is. But also, pass rush. Harold Perkins would have not upgraded that. He may have upgraded the other stuff, like pass coverage. Let's say I want pass rush to make him a beast. I could upgrade that a bunch, get his finesse move up to 99, get his power move into the 90s. Now we have double 90s for both. Maybe I get his power up. Maybe I do get the run stopping up, so he's a beast run stopper as well. And let's give him a little bit of pass coverage, right? We could have also gotten his speed up if we wanted him to be there, but that's 15 points. And now we're looking at Harold Perkins 94 overall, and you can go through and just see all the +1s in here. It looks a lot cooler when you do the auto because you see like the whole screen full of green, all the players up. But I don't think auto is great because, like I said, auto would have given you a higher overall on the player. Durham probably would have been a higher overall if I did auto. But I made him into a player on Saturday, game day, when I have the sticks in my hand. I'm going to dominate with him now versus him being a higher overall, but he can't cut juke well. He's not as fast, so on and so forth. That's basically the last of the big changes for me personally. Of course, the other screen is going to be like the retention screen or the transfer, whatever it is, encourage transfer screen. There you go. That's going to be obviously the only difference here is that you could see more of the player stuff on the right-hand side. But guys, that's basically it for the video. I know this was long. This is probably my first ever hour-long video in my life. Hope you guys enjoy it. This was your first look at CFP 26, the full Dynasty breakdown. I want to give you guys in-depth analysis rather than breaking this into 25 videos. I wanted you guys to be able to watch this whole video in one shot and say, I get it. I understand the hallways, the dynamics, the alleys, the highs, the lows, the stealing, the change. I wanted you guys to see it all. I hope this helped you guys. Guys, this is the first big video of CFP 26 for me. Can you smash the like button? Can we get 200 likes in this video? 250, 300 maybe? Guys, this goes a long way in helping our channel out. The beauty of getting these videos out early is that we can get some momentum on this channel. Can we get likes? Can we get comments? Ask as many questions as you want. Engagement helps the channel out, and I'm going to answer them. I'll give you guys a lot of in-depth analysis. Ask them down below. Appreciate you guys all for coming out early. Hopefully you stayed to the end. If you did, I appreciate your support, guys. I really do. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like and comment. I want to get 100K subs this year. It's going to be a tough grind. Can we start today? Can we get a bunch of subs today from you and you want to stick it through? No better place for Dynasty tips than this channel, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.